You're listening to Flip Empire, the show committed to helping real estate entrepreneurs who want to build their empire without sacrificing their life. Your success and freedom starts now with your host, Alex Pardo.
What's going on? What's up, everyone? Alex Pardo, and I have an important announcement that I'm going to be making on this particular episode. So I want you to stick with me because it's really important that you know about some changes that are happening to the Flip Empire show moving forward as it relates to new podcasts that are going to be released. So stick with me. With that being said, this is your first time tuning in. I think you picked an interesting one to join. My goal with this podcast is always to just over deliver and to just share my heart with you, share my experiences, share the wins, the losses. I've been an active full-time real estate investor since 2005. I was focused on the single family space for the first 16 years. And as of the last couple of years or so, really transitioned into the storage arena and got a lot of cool stuff going on that end. I have people reaching out to me looking for opportunities to get involved on the debt side or equity side. So if you have any interest in that, make sure to reach out to me, alex@flipempire.com. And I want to go ahead. There's a story I want to share with you about a conversation I had with my 7-year-old, my oldest daughter, Ariana, a couple of days ago. And I thought a lot of the lessons that my wife and I try to teach our kids apply to us as well. I know they certainly apply to myself. And sometimes I think one of the best ways to learn something, to ingrain it, is to teach it, right? That's why I always believe you should have one hand up to a coach, a mentor, and have one hand down to a mentee or somebody who you're looking to bring up, right? Versus what a lot of people do is they try to keep you down because of their insecurities. But I digress. I'm going to circle back to that story with my daughter. I want to go ahead and share with you and open up about the announcement. So you may or may not remember, depending on how long you've been listening to the show. And by the way, the show continues to grow and get more downloads, which is so awesome. Just recently, a week or two ago, crossed over the 1 million unique downloads, which is a milestone I'm very proud of because of the time, energy, effort, and the consistency, but more importantly, because of you. Because that tells me that I'm reaching people and hopefully I'm helping people, at least based on the feedback some of you guys have given me. So thank you once again. That means so much to me. Trust me. Well, several months ago, I released an episode and we'll try to link it up in the show notes. I don't remember what number it is, but the topic or the headline was something about reimagining the Flip Empire show. And really earlier this year, I started thinking about making some changes to the show, although I didn't quite know what that looked like, what that would look like, what that would entail. But as my plate started to become a little bit more full with the storage business, in addition to the different things I have going on, in an effort to honor my vision, the boundaries that I've created for family, for my life, for the amount of work I want to put in, for the amount of travel that I like to do with my family, I realized that some tweaks and adjustments, some modifications had to be made. And that's life. You know, oftentimes we need to go with the flow, but we need to be very intentional about making sure that we control our schedule versus letting others, whether letting the demands of our responsibilities take control of our schedule. And that's why books that I've referenced in the past, like Who Not How, have been so instrumental, because oftentimes it's a who question that needs to be solved versus a how question that needs to be solved. And I've implemented just making sure that I'm either outsourcing, delegating, automating, or deleting certain things. That's one of the things I always ask myself is, how can I outsource this? How can I delegate it? How can I delete it? Or can I automate it, right? Oftentimes you'll find that a task you do falls into one of those categories. But with that being said, long story short, I have determined that the show is going to be moving to one time per week versus the 2 shows that have been released every single week for 6 years and 3 months, to be exact. So for over 6 years, I have consistently recorded, published, released 2 podcast episodes every single week, Monday and Thursday, without fail, for 6+ years. It is time to take a step back a little bit, but I want you to understand, and this is not some BS reframing thing that I'm doing here. I truly believe that in this particular case, less is more. I truly believe that by me just focusing on one show per week and really just channeling my attention, my efforts to that one show, I believe you'll receive more than the actual 2 shows that get released. Now, some of you are going to be happy because you don't have to listen to me as often. And some of you guys might be disappointed, but it's my belief that in this particular case, less is more. It's my belief that not only will this give me a little bit of time back, but the one show that I do put out, hopefully you find will be that much better. And maybe that might take a little bit of time, but I'm just going to continue to be myself. I'm going to continue to be very open, honest with you. I'm going to continue to share my experiences across the different businesses, share experiences in my life. I find that I tend to learn a lot more from the challenges, from the hardships, some of the lessons learned, the L's that we take. And I'll make sure to continue to share those with you. And most importantly, share, hey, this is what I did. This was the mistake. And then this is how I'm dealing with it. Or this is what I found. This is how I got on the other side of that mountain, right? So with that being said, decided we are actually every Monday, shows will be released. So if you're listening to this, the day it's released, it's Thursday, expect an episode. So expect episode 658 to get released on Monday, whatever date that is. Monday, let me see if I can just quickly bring out my calendar. Monday, September 19th. So expect episode 658 to get released on Monday, September 19th. And then the next show that you will get will be Monday, September 26th, and so on. So every Monday, shows will be released. Shows will no longer be released on Thursdays. Now, having said that, don't be surprised if every now and then a random pop-up show gets released. That may get released on a Thursday. It may get released on some other day. It could be a special announcement. It could be a bonus content episode. It could be something that I want to talk to you about that's very timely, that I want to get out to you. It could be a particular message. So hold me to that, right? Like I'm not promising that, but it wouldn't surprise me if I surprise you guys with some bonus episodes in the near future. So again, just the announcement is that the show will go to once per week. And that's a conscious decision. It took a lot of thought and time to get to that conclusion. I believe it's the right choice, not just for myself, but I think it'll allow me to pour more into the show versus being on that schedule of always feeling like I got to put out a show every Monday and Thursday, which I've been doing for over 6 years. So hopefully you're okay with that and just borrow my confidence and my belief that it's going to be better for you. So I'm choosing to see this as a half glass. The glass is half full type of scenario. And that's a perfect segue. I wish I had a drop, right, of a drum roll, or not a drum roll, the guitar, when you hit the thing, whatever. For you drummers out there, what I'm talking about. But I was having a conversation with my daughter. She was sitting in the kitchen and it was early in the morning. And she said, she was about to have breakfast and I was in the kitchen. I was preparing something for her. And she looks at me, she goes, today's going to be such a hard day. And mind you, this was like 6:05 in the morning or something. And it instantly struck me that what a teaching opportunity. But mind you, I have started my children early. I mean, if you ask them, hey, what's daddy's favorite song? We came up with a song that, and I'm not going to sing it here for you. It's just for me and my daughters, but it's called I Can Do It. That's the name of the song, right? Because every time my daughters know that a bad word in my household is can't. They're not allowed to say can't. And if they do, they catch themselves. So my daughter, she's like, it's going to be such a hard day. And she said it in her voice and her tone. And I look at her and I said, why do you say that? Why do you think that? And she goes, well, because I got this test tomorrow and this and that. And I said, well, first of all, the test is tomorrow. Why do you think today's going to be a bad day? And she didn't really have an answer for me. And there was a bottle of water sitting right in front of her. And I get ragged on in my family about always leaving half bottles all over the house, right? So I knew it was my bottle and it happened to be halfway full. And I said, Ariana, let me ask you a question. I grabbed this bottle, I put it right in front of her and I said, what do you see? And she goes, water. I say, okay, well, is this particular bottle, is it halfway full or is it halfway empty? Right? And she goes, well, what do you mean? I said, well, look at it, right? The water's up to here. And I pointed to the middle of the bottle. I said, if you look up, it's empty. But if you look down, it's full, it's water. I said, is the bottle full, halfway full, or is it halfway empty? And she goes, empty. And I said, that's interesting. Because I said, I see it halfway full. And I said, you're not wrong. But I think that's what I want to share with you is that generally speaking, whatever you believe, right, whatever belief system you adopt, and I used a different word in communicating with her, I said tends to be true. If you believe today's going to be a hard day, guess what? Today's going to be a hard day. If you believe today is going to be a great day, you're more likely to make it a great day because you have that belief system and you tend to show up differently, right? Like if it's typical body language type stuff. And she was like slouched over, shoulders down, like kind of head, not looking down, but kind of not down. Her chest wasn't out. Her shoulders weren't out. Her voice was a little different. And so I said, I want you to understand that that's a story you've told yourself, right? That you think this test is going to be hard. You're worried about this test tomorrow. And it hasn't even gotten here. And I said, by the way, I've seen you study with mom and I've seen what you're doing and you're prepared. I've heard you in the past be concerned about a test and then you go and you kill it, you crush it. I saw her kind of the wheels shifting and I didn't want this to feel like a lecture. And sometimes I fail at that, right? She probably thinks I'm speaking at her. So I do my best to just, communicate with her. And so anyways, I walk her to the car and, she's putting her seatbelt on and I go to give her a kiss and a hug and my wife's going to take her and my other daughter to school. And she looks at me and she goes, "Today's going to be a great day, Daddy," with a totally different energy. Her voice was different. Her body language was different. And I was like, man, what a valuable lesson that is, not just for her, but also for me. Because there's days I wake up where I'm not feeling great and I might not verbally say, "Hey, today's going to be a rough day," but I'm thinking it, right? Or I'm thinking about what's ahead of me, whether it's a particular challenge. Yeah, a friend of mine and I are about to close on a new storage facility in a really just great part of Florida. And we recently got introduced with a challenge, a zoning challenge. And we had to appear before, we had to have a Zoom meeting with the planning department of this particular county and the fire marshal and all this thing. And fortunately, we got a resolution. Fortunately, we got through that challenge. But when we were instantly met with that challenge, I started thinking about, oh man, this is a deal breaker. I started thinking about the worst that could happen here. And yet this situation, honestly, I see it as a blessing because I learned some new things in going through this process that I probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to learn before. And I was instantly, when my wife drove away and I was thinking about my daughter now saying, "Hey, today's going to be a great day," I almost challenged myself to say, hey, when adversity strikes, when something doesn't go as planned, how do we train our minds to instantly see it as an opportunity and to say, there's a blessing here. I just got to look for it, right? Because what you look for, you'll tend to find. It's the whole classic, your reticular activating system. What you tend to look for, you'll find. And it's one of my favorite quotes, that the man or woman that believes he can or can't, they're both right. So it's all perspective. It really is perspective. And anyways, I wanted to share that quick story with you because I think hopefully we can all draw something from it. I know I can. So my friends, that's what I got for you on today's episode. With that being said, expect a show coming every Monday moving forward. Please do not expect a show on Thursdays. After 6+ years, we are making some changes with the content schedule here. And I truly believe it's a half glass full. It's a bottle half full type of scenario here that's going to be for the better. So with that being said, I want to leave you with this final quick plug. It just continues to blow me away how many employers are benefiting from ERC, employee retention credits. Guys, check out ERC.com. There are several business owners that I have shared this employee retention credits and they're getting quite a bit of money. Look into it. If you had an employer and you had employees in 2020 or the first 3 quarters of 2021, it's very possible you can get up to $26,000 per employee. Look into it yourself. As always, I'm not an attorney. I'm not a CPA. So do your own due diligence as I did when my CPA told me about this, but check ERC.com. And I think you may be pleasantly surprised. So with that being said, have an amazing day and I look forward to connecting with you on the next show. Hope you enjoyed that episode. But before you go, I've had a lot of people recently reach out to me wanting to learn more about Ascend, wanting to understand how the mastermind component works, how the coaching relationship works. And so right now we're actually on a waiting list. But what I would encourage you to do is if you think you're the right fit and you think you could benefit from being a part of our community, head over to ascendyoursuccess.com, watch the short video, and then just click the apply to join button below. And then we'll be in contact with you if and when a spot opens up. So really appreciate you listening to Flip Empire here. And I look forward to connecting with you on the next show. Take care.